Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I'm so excited to be here on another episode of the Unleash and Thrive podcast. So, guess what? Today, I have an awesome sister in the house. I have a phenomenal guest. I have Elizabeth Olujimi with me today. So, I'm so excited. And I'm going to say a few words about her and then I'm going to let her introduce herself. I love to do that. So, you're welcome to today's episode. So, Elizabeth Olujimi is a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur, coach, speaker, and mentor. Alongside her husband, Tunji Olujimi, they run a ministry called Glory Realm Ministries, where they empower people to live a life of worship and experience God's glory. Elizabeth and her husband both serve within the leadership at Kingdom Culture Movement. Combining her passion for people and ministry, Elizabeth also runs a weekly prayer meeting for the nation of Uganda. She is the pioneer of the Dare to Believe Women's Conference. Woohoo! Last year was awesome, which is there to help women understand that they can achieve anything through Christ. Alongside some financial qualifications, Elizabeth also holds a degree in electrical engineering and a diploma in life coaching. Elizabeth is the CEO of Dare to Believe Coaching Limited, where she supports women in their journey of self-discovery, confidence building, personal development, and achieving their goals and dreams so they can thrive in life. She is also part of the John Maxwell team and the Association of Coaching. Originally from Uganda, Elizabeth lives in London with her husband Tunji and her 2-year-old daughter Janaya. Okay, thank you for being here, Elizabeth. We are so excited to have you here today. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor, it's a privilege to be here.
Yes. So viewers, if you need to grab a cup of coffee, some tea, just get something, whatever you need, sit back and join this conversation because it's going to be awesome. So I have a couple of questions that I just kind of wrote out, but as we get into this, but I know that from when I had your original bio, a lot of things have happened. I know. So I remember when I was putting it, I'm like, there's more to this. So there's some interesting facts that we don't know about you. So I'm just going to say, okay, can you just tell us some things that we don't know or that have come up from even when I had that bio of you?
So since that bio, I am a published author. I contribute to magazines. At the moment, I'm contributing to 2 magazines. So Luminous Wisdom Magazine, which is a magazine that's there to inspire women across the world. And I also contribute to Brains Magazine, which is more of a business, lifestyle kind of magazine. So yeah, I'm venturing into writing.
It's awesome. You can't help but venture into writing. Our husband is he's a book coach. How would you, every time I remember one day, I think he was posting on the 1 day away challenge, one of the challenges that he does. And I thought to myself, she has a writer right there. Soon we're going to see it coming out. So when you said you're contributing to those magazines, I'm like, it has to happen because you're right there in the house. So you're getting, glimpses from it right there.
The books are coming.
Yeah, they are. We know they are. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So I remember last year, you and I connected last year during the pandemic and all of this. And I remember at the end of last year, I remember we had this chat whereby you mentioned that you were going to stop your full-time job and you were starting off in January on this new journey. Dare to Believe. I remember we had the conference at the end of December. I think it was in December we had the conference, Dare to Believe conference. And so my question to you is, what started you on this journey? What started you?
Wow. On the journey of daring to believe, I think for me, the vision of Dare to Believe, or even the slogan, Dare to Believe, came alive for me a few years ago when God was challenging me to stretch out of where I was, to stretch out and believe Him, believe beyond my current space. He was stretching me to such a point that I had to believe that where I was had become too small. So I needed to keep stretching. But in my stretching, I needed to rely on him. I needed to believe that what he said about me was true. I needed to believe that he is faithful to take me to those
mm.
places that he is calling me to. So the visions that he had given me, he was telling me, dare to believe.
Wow.
The places that I'm calling you to, dare to believe. And so
Mm.
this happened a good couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago or thereabouts. And to the point that my faith was stretched, and I embarked on a journey where I went for TDJX Pastors and Leaders Conference. At the time, I wasn't even a pastor. I was just serving in the leadership of my church. My church at the time was literally about 20 people. And I
Wow.
went to this
That
conference,
was a
a
stretch.
school of pastors and bishops, and everybody's talking about how big is your church, what's the congregation size. I'm like, I just go to a small little church, and I serve there, I serve my pastors. And I remember
Mm.
at one point getting there and thinking to myself, are you in the right place?
Mm.
It
Mm.
almost seemed like I did not qualify to be there
Right to
in
be
my.
there.
But God reminded me, I have qualified you to be here. So dare to believe
Mm.
that I can bring you this far.
Mm.
I remember when I shared with other people that I was planning to go, and you're not a pastor. Why are you going all the way from the UK,
Mm.
to Florida just to attend this conference? But there was a hunger, there was a drive, and God was stirring up something with me, because sometimes God speaks to us about certain things, and He will actually take us through a physical experience
Of it.
for us to really learn the lesson that he's taking us through. And that particular encounter where I had to stretch my mind and stretch my faith and take this trip, take this journey, really stretched me.
Mm.
It stretched me on a faith perspective.
Wow.
It stretched me financially.
Yeah.
But by the time I went for it and I came back, my mind was in a different
You
place.
can't be in the same place. I completely understand, because I remember when we used to live in the UK. That was when my husband went for that conference, and he
Oh,
came
wow.
back, and that was his very first time of going for the TDJ's conference. I'm like, in my mind, I was thinking, what are you going to do? Like, do you really need to go that far? Because my mind, I couldn't even comprehend. He
Mm-hmm.
was a pastor, but I'm thinking it felt like it was too big of a space to actually go into. Like, it was, what are you going to do? But when he came back, I saw why he had to go, because the CDs he brought back, when I began to listen, I'm like, oh, even I need to move to a new level. Like,
Mm.
even I was in the house, I couldn't be the same. So I guess God was trying to tell you, is you have to stretch your
Right.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, wow, wow.
So I'll say that's where the journey properly
Mm.
kicked off for me. And one of the things God really was awakening in me was the fact that I'm going to stretch you beyond where you're coming from. I'm going to stretch you beyond your family. I'm going to stretch you beyond what you can even imagine.
Mm.
So I
Mm.
had to. I'm a person of faith.
Yeah,
I like to think that I believe God for big things. I think faith is one of my gifts. But for me to dare to believe God, it was a case of take your faith to the next level.
yeah. Hmm.
Because daring to believe God is not just about taking small steps.
No,
It's
no.
about, looking past your current state
Mm.
and looking through God's perspective,
Yeah,
looking through God's eyes and realizing that this is not where he wants you. It's there that he wants
yeah.
you. And he wants you to just start taking those steps to get to there, because that's where you need to be.
Wow, wow, wow. That is a long journey. Wow. So almost 10 years ago. And then how did that translate from then? All this one, how did that translate last year that you thought, okay, you know what, it's about time that now, because this is like a journey, but I guess on this journey you get to a point where you think, okay, God is calling me to more than just every day going to my regular job. Now
Hmm.
he's calling me to more. How did you get to that point of deciding?
So I think last year was kind of, should I say, an awakening year for me to a point. Um, God was helping me to realize that it is time. It is time. I've brought you on this journey, and now it's time to start actualizing it. It's time for you to start doing certain things that are really in line with where I want you to be and what I'm calling you to do. And funny enough, I started posting on social media about purpose and things like that. And I remember a couple of people getting in touch with me and saying, "Oh wow, the things that you're posting are really provoking me." And little did they know that I was being provoked
Mm.
too, because
Mhm.
God was really stirring me up
Yeah.
to be more aligned with where He
Yeah.
wanted me to be. Where I was comfortable, so I could have stayed there. But if
Yeah.
I had stayed there, it wouldn't be in alignment with what God wanted and
Mm.
with what God wanted to do,
Mm.
not just in me
Mm.
but through me.
Mm.
So my workplace made an offer, and it was literally an offer for redundancy.
Mm.
Little did they know that more people were eager to take it up. So the company wanted to reduce the number of employees by about
Yeah.
1,400, but over
Wow.
2,000 people applied for it.
Oh wow! Because now people are taught I can work from home. I can do something with. Now they had been. I guess during the pandemic, we were all like you say, on awakening year. We had all
Mhm.
now begun to think outside the box.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if it wasn't a pandemic, even you might not get to that point where you're thinking redundancy. You wouldn't. You might not
Right.
really think of that. Wow, over two
Yeah.
thousand.
So the offer that the company made, I think, really helped to
Wow.
encourage people to take it up. And I remember, I applied, and to be honest, there was no reason for my company to say no, because my role wasn't very significant.
We can't.
So if I left, it could be filled very easily.
Mm.
So I applied for the redundancy, and I got it.
Wow.
And in between, before I applied, I started thinking, well, if I decide to apply for redundancy, what am I going to be doing? I was like, God, if I leave my comfortable 9 to 5, where's
What
the
are they
money
going to be
going to come
doing?
from? And I remember, praying about it and talking to my husband as well. And, my husband was like, it's time for you to walk in purpose. You've been telling
Mm.
everybody.
Mm.
So it's
Mm.
time for you to step out. It's time to launch out. And, I thought about, okay, so what would I be doing? And the coaching came to mind because I'm one of those people who's passionate about seeing people living to their full potential.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
passionate about seeing people living a life on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, okay, well, coaching. And interestingly enough, a couple of friends I told at the time that this is what I was going to do. Initially, they were worried that I was leaving my job. But when they heard what I was going to do, they were
We're
like,
like excited.
that's exactly you. So we understand.
Mm. Wow.
For me,
Wow.
that was like a reassurance.
Mm.
So yes. So then I was encouraged to really take the step. So when I applied and it went ahead, it was then a case of, well, what are you going to call your company? What are you going to call this? And it was very obvious. I didn't have to look far to know what to call it, because I had been on a journey where God was stretching me,
Yeah.
and I knew that it had to be Dare to Believe. It
Yeah.
had to be Dare to Believe. So that has been my slogan, my life slogan for a good couple of years. So
Mm.
I said, you know what? Let's call this Dare to Believe Coaching Limited. And
Mhm.
one of the things we will do is we will inspire people to dare to believe in
Mm.
themselves, believe that there is more to them, believe that
Mhm.
they can achieve more, believe
Yeah.
that what seems impossible can actually become possible.
Impossible. Wow. 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 I love that. I love that story. Isn't it interesting when you take a step, then you now begin to rethink again. Am I really
Mhm.
ready for this? Do I really want to step into this? It's wow, 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 awesome. So it's been an interesting. So you took this step towards the end of December, January, and then you started in full in January. So it's
Mhm.
been awesome 7 months. You've been doing so much, awesome 7 months. So how has the journey been so far? How has
It's
it
been an
been?
interesting journey. It's been an interesting journey. I think one of the things I got to realize in the early days of this journey, journey of being an entrepreneur was that it's totally different
Yeah,
from
it
being in a
is.
9 to 5. You need a different mindset.
Yep, you do.
You need to approach it with a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing your 9 to 5, you know that, okay, this is the work you have to do. You do you
Somebody is
finish
thinking for you.
exactly. But when you're doing running your own business, you're running the show. It's all on you. If you wake up one day and you don't feel like it, well, guess what? There's not going to be any movement. You have to get
Yep.
up and go do it.
Mm.
So
Mm.
so for me, I guess one of the lessons there was the fact that if you don't do it, who's going
Mm.
to do it? If you don't do it, who's going to do it? If you know that this and this and this needs to be done, if you have a lazy day, come back tomorrow, it will still be waiting for you,
Yeah.
and you still have
Yeah.
to do it. So it's been a really good journey. It's been a journey where I have stretched myself.
Mm.
I have
Wow.
stretched myself. I remember a few years ago, people telling me join LinkedIn, join LinkedIn. I I thought about it, but I never wanted to. I was reluctant. But when I knew that I was going to be starting my own business,
Nobody told
that
you.
was my wake up call. Go on LinkedIn and start networking. So
Yeah.
literally, even my LinkedIn profile, I started that in January. You know, um, so it's stretched me to dig deep on the potential that's inside of me.
Mm. Wow.
Did I know I could write?
Mm.
Yeah, I knew there were stories inside me, but I didn't know I could write,
Yeah.
inspiring things for a woman's magazine. I didn't know that the way I was going to present myself out there would,
Yeah.
raise as many eyebrows as it's raising. Sometimes I get messages from people on social media telling me, I really love what you're doing,
Mm.
and I'm just going and posting something,
You're just doing your
not
own thing.
necessarily trying to please somebody. I'm just going there and doing what
Mm.
I need to do, or you get a message from somebody saying, that live video that you did, it really touched me, it really spoke to where I'm at. So for me, it's been a journey where I have stretched myself, and actually it's not just been a blessing in terms of business, but it's been a blessing in my family life,
Yeah.
even in ministry, because I'm now a lot more available for ministry. Someone
Mm.
can call me during the day and I'm available.
Which you won't have been if you were still at what you were doing before then.
Yeah, I would have been restricted with my time, but now I can say, you know what, actually, between this time and this time, I
Yeah.
can speak to you because I'm running the show myself anyway,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I can make time for that. So it's allowed me that. And with family, I've got a 2-year-old.
Yeah. A
Time is
very cute
precious.
2-year old.
Precious. Sometimes she wants you to read a story with her. She wants you to take her to the park.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in a normal 9 to 5 where maybe someone is waiting for you to send a report or someone is waiting for you to do this, it's a bit hard to just take a break in your day.
Yeah.
But with me running my own business, it means I can take a break
You
whenever
can
I want to take.
schedule it. Yep.
You
That's
know,
it.
this morning I knew I had work to get done, but
Mm.
my daughter is now on holiday. So I said, you know what? I will sacrifice the morning and take her
Mm.
to a play group. And so I did. And as I was there, I was sitting
Mm.
there and thinking, I'm not getting any work done. Yeah, I was like,
Mom, you're
don't
meant to be
feel that
enjoying the
way.
time.
You're on mother duty right now. So look at that. So being in charge of being my own boss, as they say,
Mm.
is allowing me to manage my time the way I want to. And
Yeah.
aside from that, I would say it's growing me as well.
Yeah.
So this whole experience has grown me, and it's helped me to reawaken some things that were asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So dreams that I might have had before,
Yeah.
encounters that I might have had before that
That
were
you didn't really take notice of. Hmm.
so I'm starting to kind of reawaken that and remember, actually, once upon a time I had this idea. I
Yeah.
wanted to do this, so maybe I can actually do it now. And so you're a John Maxwell certified coach, and
Yes. Hmm.
I wanted to join the John Maxwell team for years and years, right?
Like,
I wanted to join for years, but I never took the step. But when I started my own business, the door opened, the window of opportunity came.
that's what
And it was
happened.
like God was saying, bing, 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 it's time. You've waited long enough. It's time to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that as well now.
And the
And
opportunities are, you can't even, it's like, you can't even go there. It's just, wow. So many
honestly,
opportunities.
when people ask me how is it going, I tell them, you know what? I feel like I am in the best place right now that God
Yeah.
wants me to be in,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm adding value
Yeah.
in a way that I'm not restricted.
Yeah.
I'm doing me.
Mm.
I'm not going into an office and hiding my true self and just
I want
trying
you
to
to pause there
fit
for a minute. I want us to talk about, you just said something so powerful there. You're doing me. How important is it for us to do us? Because this is like a podcast for women, and sometimes as women we forget to do us. We do every other person. You're a
in.
wife, you're a mom, you're a pastor, you're so many things. And what happens to me? So you just said something, you said you're doing me. So maybe there's a woman listen, they're like, I really want to be where you are right now. How do I get to that place of doing me? I love the way you just said that. You're doing me. And I want us to just speak to that woman listening right now. How do we get to that place of doing me?
So one of the things I would say is start from a place of discovering who you are,
Mm-hmm.
discovering your uniqueness,
Yeah.
discovering what makes you sing, what makes you cry, what makes you laugh, discovering who you really are, your identity.
Yep.
And also, you would say it's discovering your purpose as well. What are the pains that God has
Mm-hmm.
called you
Mm-hmm.
to bring a resolution to bring a solution to? Now, I know there's a lot of women out there that go through a phase where we're saying, I don't know my purpose. And the best way to know your purpose is, yes, go back to your creator, the one who
Mm-hmm.
created you, and he knows your purpose. So he will tell you your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, serve. Look for a
Oh,
place to serve. Look for somebody to serve. Look for
yeah.
somebody to add value to. And just do
Yeah.
that. And you'll be surprised how you start to discover things about yourself
That
in
you
that.
didn't even know.
Mhm.
Wow.
Honestly. So if you're a woman listening to this and you're in that place thinking,
Mm.
where do I start? How do I do
Mm.
me? I would say pray about it. That's always a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then just start uncovering the hidden layers of you.
You. Mm-hmm.
So the things that you enjoy doing, but you have stopped doing because
Mm-hmm.
of life,
Yeah.
because of situations, because of being a wife, being a mother,
Oh,
you know?
talk
Start
about it.
rediscovering those things. I remember one time speaking to one of my clients, and she had lost herself
Mm.
because she was trying to please people.
Yeah.
She was trying to please the people around her, trying to please her daughter, trying to please her partner, trying to please her friends, her sisters, and she was losing herself. And we
Yeah.
went through a couple of coaching sessions, and I could see the difference. I could tell the difference from the way she was speaking. She had
Mm.
rediscovered herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, find a coach, get in
Yeah.
touch with a coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let them help you. If it's a journey that you feel you cannot do on your own,
Mm. Yeah.
let someone
Mm-hmm.
help you along the way. And
Yeah.
something I like to tell people as well is, in the process of uncovering and rediscovering yourself, get a journal, get a notebook, and write down some things
Oh.
about yourself.
You just hit a gold mine right there. Do you know sometimes I would just like when you're looking for a book to read, and I would just pick up my journal. Sometimes as I begin to look through my journals 3 years ago, I'm like, wow, some things I had completely forgotten that I had even written down in that season. You pick it up right now, and as you begin to, it's like God begins to give you new light. You're like, wow, when did I even write this? You mean I wrote this? That is like a gold mine, getting a journal to write it all down. And another thing that you said that I love is that rediscovering yourself. You know, I often talk about myself that for the longest time, I was in that place whereby I didn't even know. I was just like you said, doing life. And I remember when I started this journey of purpose, it was like a rediscovery. It was like, you know, when you're going on a maze, I began to rediscover me like an onion. It's like one layer. And then you're like, you mean you mean I like to do that? You mean I didn't even know that. And so rediscovery is so important. It's so important because there are things that we may have forgotten about ourselves. Like I forgot I used to write. How can you forget you used to write? Because of life, like regular, wow, like regular stuff, regular just going to work, coming back, having a family. And so I believe even as women, we have to be very intentional about ourselves.
There you
And
go.
that's why I was like, do me that going there. And I remember when I said, okay, God, begin to show me who am I? He began to just unravel. This is why I made you to be someone that talks. This is why I didn't even know that all those things were for a reason. Can you imagine you just talking, but you don't even know what the purpose is? And so that is so important. Journaling is so important. Thank you for sharing that. Doing you is so important because even if you say, okay, I wanna dare to believe, if you don't know where to start from, it's almost like, okay. I remember I wrote a book called Dream Big, and that came from the place whereby God was saying to me, when are you going to start living out my dreams for you and my purposes for you? Because I had forgotten how to even do it. I had just gotten lost in rows and rows of mommy, rows of so many rows. And as women, we get lost in rows.
We do.
We get lost in rows. And this is almost like, and so for me, it's almost like as women, we have to constantly be asking, because we're always looking at how is my child doing? How is my husband doing? How are my parents doing? How are my siblings doing? What about how am I doing? Am I on the road, on the right track? So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. I have another question for you. Right from here, I have so many questions just popping up. Have there been any challenges along the way, even in this journey?
Challenges along the way. Sometimes they say the biggest issue in your way is you.
Yeah.
I think that's been the challenge. Getting beyond myself, because sometimes you want to do something, you should do something, but self is saying, nah, don't do it. Don't do it now.
Not the right
I'm not
time.
ready. It's not time. So sometimes it's self that's just getting in the way. So I guess one challenge for me is always rising above myself. Another challenge is with what I'm doing now. I find that I spend a lot more time on social media than I want to.
Tell me about it. I know.
Because there's a need to engage with your
Yeah. Yeah.
audience, engage with other people in your space that are doing
Yeah.
similar things, because that's part of growing your network.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just have to tell myself, you know what, if you've not gone and posted something today, it's okay. It's
It's
okay.
okay. Yeah.
Life goes on. Tomorrow is another day. Refresh and do something
Yeah.
tomorrow. And if you don't respond to this message right away, it's okay. It's not a life and death situation. You can come back to it another time. So it's balancing, that time where you are present with what you need to be present with, and actually switching off social media, because it's very easy for like me to be on my phone. And it's funny because my husband was an entrepreneur before I met him even, and I've always said to him a lot of times, I'm like, babe, you're on your phone a lot, what's happening? And
You didn't know it was.
it's
You didn't realize.
it's business stuff I'm doing. And now I realize it, because I find myself doing the same thing, and I have to keep on reminding myself it's okay. Give yourself a time, put some boundaries in place, and
Yeah.
and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those two are probably the main challenges. If I would say another challenge is staying in your lane, because
Hmm.
there's a lot of people in this
Hmm.
space. But
Let's go there.
you can look there. There's a sponsored ad here. There's a sponsored
Yeah.
ad there, and it's easy to get lost in
Yeah.
what everyone else is doing and trying to to
Yeah.
find your space that I fit here maybe. Oh, but it's not quite like this person. It's not quite like that person. So it's that challenge of staying in your lane and just
Yeah.
doing you,
Yeah.
without having to fit into someone's way of doing
Hmm.
things.
Hmm.
Just do the way you're doing it and trust and believe that it will bring the results that you want to come out of it. Because it comes down to the comparison thing as well. Don't
Yes.
compare yourself.
Yes. Yes. That's where it comes down to. That is it.
Everyone's on their own journey.
Mhm.
My voice might not appeal to somebody, but it will appeal to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do what you gotta do and stick with it.
Hmm. I
So
remember when that, sorry to cut you. I remember when that comparison thing. I remember one of the days when I just kind of felt, oh, I remember one day the picture I just kind of got was an athlete, because I love athletes a lot. So the picture I got was an athlete running a race, and they when they're in their lane, if you decide to keep looking at someone in lane 2, maybe you're in lane 1, eventually, because wherever we focus on, what we focus on is where our energy goes. Eventually you're going to drift into lane 1. Look at even driving. You're driving, but you're busy looking at what's going to happen to the car. It keeps going in that direction. So I found that, oh, I'm in lane 1, but I'm looking at what Elizabeth is doing in lane 2. Guess what? I'm going into lane 2. And as I'm going into lane 2, if I keep running that way, I'm going to get disqualified because I'm not doing what I'm qualified to do.
that's
Run in
right.
lane 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get a prize by gate crashing into lane 2. Number one. Number two, I found that when I start to compare, I lose my creativity. I just tell someone, I said, creativity just go down. Do you notice that when you start to think of, oh,
You
but he's
do.
doing that, you just find that you can't even, now all that you were thinking of the creativity is just gone out of the window. And
Mm.
so I found myself, I started to tell, every time I feel like, oh, but I'm like, are you called to do that? Is that what you're called to do? Stay in, and I often tell myself, stay in your lane, in your own. And I believe when we're in our lane, we have grace.
We do.
We have grace for whatever you're called to do. You have
Mm.
strength for what you're called to do, and you have an understanding of what you're called to do. You have it's interesting because you're the thriving coach. You're a thriving coach. I talk about thriving from a point of purpose, but I don't talk about it the way you talk about it. So you talk about people that, okay, now you're surviving, you want to thrive. I just talk about that, okay, you know what? Whatever you're doing, you have to make sure that you're not staying in one position. You have to move to a position of thriving. Two different perspectives. So if
Yeah.
I not say, no, I want to be like the thriving coach, what's going to happen? I'm going to crash because I don't have the depth that you have for what you're doing.
Mm.
And I think that is what happened. And especially because women often we compare a lot. And so that can be a challenge for a lot of us thinking, okay, I want to do what she's doing. Oh, yeah, she started. I don't even know how she started, but I want to do what she's doing. So now we need to just pull away and say, what has God asked me to do?
Mm.
What am I doing? What the resources he's given me to do what I need to do. And often, like you said, if we look inwards, what's going to happen? We will begin to, actually, I have resources to do what I'm called to do. Because I find sometimes if I feel like that, what do? I come off social media for a bit and
Yeah.
just pull it away. Because sometimes there's just so much distraction. If you pull away for a bit, guess what happens? You can refocus.
Mm.
And as you refocus, then you're thinking, okay, this is my lane. Get back into it. So thank you for sharing that challenge. And another thing I wanted us to go into is you're a thriving coach. I mentioned that. So now how does a woman get from a place of surviving? And this is what you talk about. As a woman, how do we get from that place of just surviving our everyday life, just doing life, to the place of thriving? I know it can't be captured in like one whole thing, but just throwing it out in a little, maybe just in a little way. How can we get from that point of surviving to a place of thriving?
Okay, so for me, the way I would define that place of surviving is you're in a place where you're living below your potential.
Oh,
In
awesome.
a
I
place
love
where
that. I
you've
love
just
that.
settled.
Yeah.
And it might not necessarily
Mm.
be a bad place, but there's something more.
Mm.
You know it, you
Yeah.
realize it, but you can't be bothered to take the steps. Or you
Wow.
might have tried to take the steps and it hasn't worked. You failed in the past, it has blown up in your face, and so
Yeah.
you've gone back to that place of surviving. And for you to get from surviving to thriving, certain things have to change.
Yep.
First of all, you have to acknowledge. They say that something doesn't change unless you acknowledge that it needs to change. So
Mm.
acknowledge that I don't like where I am. Become uncomfortable with that
Where
state of
you are.
wake up to the fact that something has to give, something has to change. And when you start waking up to that reality, shift your mindset.
Mm.
Shift your mindset. Change your belief system. What are you currently believing about where you are, about
Mm.
where you want to go, about where you would like to go, where you would love to go?
Go.
What are you thinking about it? Because some of us are surviving and settling because it's convenient.
Mm.
Don't have to grow, we
Woo.
don't have to stretch out, we don't have to feel the pain.
Love that.
Because when you stretch, there's pain, right? So
A
some of
lot
us
of
don't want
pain.
to feel the pain. We don't want to feel the pain. We know
Yeah.
that there is more. We know that there's this
Mm.
other job that we should be doing. We know that there's this business we should be, we know that. And it could be that you know it because you've had a dream, because you have a vision.
Mm.
So be ready to take the steps. Do
Mm.
you believe that you can make it? Do you
Mm.
believe that it's achievable?
Mm.
So, in changing your mindset, you're dealing with your belief system. You're addressing those voices in your mind that are telling you, nah, you can't do it. You're not good enough. You don't deserve it. I remember speaking to someone, and she wanted to do something, but she feels she doesn't deserve it.
Wow.
So, as much as it's a dream that she has, there's a belief in her that is saying you do not deserve this thing.
Mm.
And so every time that she has tried in the past to pursue it, she has found herself procrastinating
Mm.
because she believes she doesn't deserve it. And I had to look her in the face and say, why? Why don't you deserve it?
Mm.
Why does someone else deserve it and you don't deserve it?
Not you. Mm.
So deal with the belief system and then start changing your actions. Start changing because our actions are a result of what's on the inside.
Yep.
They're
Yes.
a
Yeah.
result of what we are thinking,
Mm-hmm.
what we are meditating on. So once
Yeah.
you've changed your belief system, change your actions. And changing your actions could mean changing your habits.
Yep.
Because the things that we do daily
Determine where
are
we're
what's going
going.
to bring us to
Mm-hmm.
that future that we are
Yeah.
that we're working
Yeah.
towards.
Yeah.
So change the things that you're doing daily.
Yes.
If there's
Yes.
something that you know is not benefiting you, change it.
Mm.
I
Mm.
remember this was a couple of years ago. I wanted to get to a deeper place of intimacy with God. And I was probably only about maybe 17 at the time.
Mm.
I was hungry for more of God. And I told myself, no more television. The only
Wow.
television you're going to watch is a preaching or a teaching. That's it. No more
No
television.
more talk shows. Nothing.
And I was desperate for a change.
Mm.
I was desperate to get to a deeper place. So I cut out TV. I would only go and watch TBN. That was my channel.
Wow. Wow.
And I would restrict the time I'm spending on it
Mm.
because I knew I needed to get into the word. I needed to get into prayer. So I couldn't
Yeah.
just sit in front of the TV the whole time.
Yeah.
So change your actions, change what you're doing daily.
Mm-hmm.
And as you start to change, commit yourself to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we can start a new habit, we do it a few days
Yeah.
in, a few days, and then we start getting comfortable, and then we start thinking,
And
oh,
then
okay, maybe today I can
maybe
do
I'll
it
just take
again.
one day off.
So commit to it.
Yeah.
Commit to it.
Mm.
And do you know what? If you're able to change your mindset, change your belief system, change your actions, once you've changed your actions, you will start to see results.
Mm-hmm.
Because you cannot do the same thing and expect different results, right? So
Mm-hmm.
change.
Yeah.
You will start to see results before
Yeah.
you know it. And you will start to get to that place where you're thriving. You will start to get to that place where you're achieving your potential, because when you change your habits, adopt better habits. Start to read more so you can grow more.
Yeah.
Start to surround yourself with the right people, the right
Mm.
association, because that's also important. As you change your habits, you will start to realize that some people that you're hanging around with are not right for where
You're not
you want.
going where you're going.
Honestly, I remember one time God speaking to me about that.
Mm.
Don't be sad when certain people leave your life,
Mm.
because they are not going where I want you to go. And I cannot be carrying baggage
No.
when God is trying to do something
Yeah.
through me.
I know.
So leave certain people where they are, and
Mm-hmm.
you do what do you
To you, yeah?
need to
Yeah.
do. So
Yeah.
deal with your belief system, change your mindset, believe
Yeah.
that it's possible,
Mm-hmm.
believe that the things that they have said about you in the past are not your reality.
Yeah.
Start to push forward, change your
Mm-hmm.
actions, change your habits, change what you are doing daily, adopt new habits, change your association, surround yourself with different kind of people.
Mm.
And as you do that, you don't have to think about thriving. It will start
It
to
would
happen.
automatically come, yeah?
Because there's an environment that you need to be in. There's things that you need to be doing for you to be thriving.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much for that. You've given us so much. So I'm going to ask this. You've given us a lot. So what will be your last words? Let me call it this way. What will be your last words?
Oh wow, my last words. Okay. Um, I had actually written down something for this. So I'll try and see how
Oh,
I
please
can
read
edit it.
it.
So this is what I had written
There's
down.
a question I forgot to ask you that I'm going to ask before you say your last words, which is a quick one. Can you give us like two lessons that you've learned on this journey along the way? What two lessons could you have learned? I
Okay.
want, yeah. At least let's learn those
Let
lessons.
me let me let me let me give you some that I prepared.
We
Right.
are
So
up to it. We're
we've
ready.
we've kind of gone through some of them already. So I had written down a couple in preparation for this, and the first one I wrote down was be confident in who you are, in your uniqueness, in your voice, in who God has made you to be,
Wow.
because that's very important.
Hmm.
Whether you're in a business world, whether you're just doing life, it is important for you to be confident in yourself,
Yeah.
because when you walk into a room, your level of confidence will be evident.
Wow.
I tell people, if you go for an interview and you're not confident, it will
Yeah.
show. You don't have to open your mouth. It will
Mm-mm.
show in
Your
the way.
body language will show it off.
So be confident. Be confident in you, in your uniqueness, in who God has made you to be. Because guess what? God does not make inferior beings.
Mm-mm.
God
Mm.
made you, and He was happy with what He had made.
Yeah.
So be happy with your uniqueness. Be confident with that. Um, the
Awesome.
other lesson I would say is do something daily to grow yourself.
Woo, love that one. Anytime.
Do so, never stop growing, never stop
Mm-hmm.
learning. So
Mm-hmm.
do challenge yourself.
Yep.
What can I do today to grow myself?
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
sometimes we get comfortable with where we are, that we don't stretch our mind, we don't stretch our thinking. So find a way, grow yourself. Another lesson I would say is don't isolate yourself. No man is an island.
That's a big one,
Network,
actually. That's a big one.
meet people, learn from other people. You
Yeah.
know, there was something that I learned from TD Jakes a few years ago, and it always rings in my mind, is that wherever God has you, there's always people that you can glean up to. There's
Yeah.
people you can learn from. There's people that you can reach out to. So people that are on your level, and there's
Mm-hmm.
people that you can teach down to.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be by yourself and keep everything to yourself. I know sometimes we like doing that because we think someone is going to steal our ideas.
But they can't really steal. John Maxwell says they can. He often says that the ideas, because you have the root of the ideas, they can't really steal your ideas. They might be able to get maybe the surface of it, but they don't really have the depth of those ideas.
Mm.
And I was like, wow, that is so true, because they can't really steal those ideas. They can't.
Yeah. So don't isolate yourself. And one last thing I would give is embrace the process.
Oh, you have to let's speak that louder. A lot of people don't like that word process. Embrace the
Embrace
process.
the process
Yes.
because it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just
Mhm.
happen. You know, one of my pastors used to say, God is not a magician.
Nope, he's
And I
not.
remember him saying it, and we would laugh about it.
But
But
it's the
I know
truth.
what he meant. God is
Yeah.
God is not a magician. Yes. Does he have the power and the authority to just change things in one go? Yes, he
Mm-hmm.
does. But
Mm-hmm.
even God has process.
Yeah.
Even God can have you in a process.
Yep.
So embrace the process because as you're changing, there is a process.
Yeah.
Everything that we do in life, there
Mm-hmm.
is a process.
There
For you
is.
to give birth to a child, there is a process. For you to
Oh.
get married, there is a
For
process.
you to eat food, there is a process.
So for
Everything. It's
everything,
become one
there's
of my favorite words, process, because people don't like that word, but you can't really get to any destination without a process. You can't.
the way I like the analogy I like to use is if I'm going from A to B. So let's say I want to travel from London to Canada. But I can't just get there. I
Mhm.
have to decide which option I want to take. Do I
Yep.
want to try and walk? Do I want
Mm-hmm.
to go by air, by sea? But how do I want to drive?
Yeah.
Wait, what are my options? Because that's the process. The
Yeah.
process of getting from A to B. That's really what it is. So process is everywhere. We just need to embrace it and
Yes, you do.
understand that sometimes it's just because you're in a process. You know, sometimes we get frustrated with God because we think there's delay, we think there's this, there's that.
Mm.
But God knows what He's doing.
Yeah.
And if we align ourselves with what God is doing, then that's it. That's what we need to.
Mm-hmm. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much for this awesome, awesome, awesome time. I've had a phenomenal time. I'm sure our viewers have as well. Thank you so much for this. I want to say that if you want to connect with Elizabeth, let's know how we can connect with you. So at least people can find you on social media on whatever platforms you can.
Okay, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Elizabeth Olujimi. You can find me on Instagram, either via DTB Coaching
Yeah.
or Elizabeth Olujimi. You can find me on Facebook, Coaching with Elizabeth, Dare to Believe Coaching with Elizabeth Olujimi, or just look for Elizabeth Olujimi on
Is
Facebook.
the name everywhere?
You can even find me on YouTube as well. So just go to Google and type Elizabeth
The only
Olujimi,
Jimmy, and then he'll give you like,
something will come up.
oh, thank you so much, Elizabeth. I really don't take this for granted. I'm so excited. Thank you for this phenomenal time that you've been able to share with us. And we hope you'll be able to bring you on again another time for something else.
How
Thank you,
about
thank you,
it?
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.